When Iranian forces tried to choke the Strait of Hormuz with underwater mines, swarms of fast attack boats, and hidden coastal missile batteries, the world held its breath. Shipping traffic slowed to a crawl. Global oil prices surged overnight. The critical waterway that supplies 1/5 of the planet's oil looked like it might stay closed for weeks, threatening energy security across the globe. But the United States struck back hard and fast. A Marine Expeditionary Unit, supported by deadly AH-64 Apache attack helicopters, launched a coordinated night operation that successfully reopened the strait. In one intense night and morning of combat, they cleared threats from sea and shore, secured key coastal positions, and restored safe passage for global shipping. The mission began with careful buildup aboard the USS Tripoli and at forward bases along the Gulf Coast. Marines from the 31st Marine Expeditionary Unit, roughly 2,500 strong, double-checked their combat loads: body armor, M4 carbines, Javelin anti-tank missiles, and heavy machine guns while loading onto MV-22 Ospreys and CH-53E Super Stallions. At the same time, Apache helicopter crews from the attached attack squadron prepared their AH-64 gunships for heavy fighting. Weapons teams rolled heavy loading carts toward the helicopters. Using mechanical hoists, they carefully lifted AGM-114 Hellfire missiles onto the stub-wing pylons and locked the mounting lugs with solid clicks. Technicians then plugged in the complex wiring harnesses, connecting data links and power cables to the aircraft's advanced avionics, testing each connection twice for continuity. Bright red arming pins with small flags stayed inserted until the final clearance. Fuel trucks pulled alongside the Apaches in quick succession. Mechanics connected the single-point refueling nozzles firmly to the fuselage ports and pumped JP-8 kerosene into the tanks, eyes fixed on the gauge panels as the numbers climbed steadily. Once the tanks read full, the hoses were disconnected, caps sealed tight, and trucks moved to the next gunship. Only after complete fueling, weapons mounting, wiring verification, and a final visual inspection of every pylon and release mechanism did the pilots climb into the cockpits and start the rotors. Under the cover of complete darkness, the assault began. The Ospreys and Super Stallions flew low over the black water, staying well beneath Iranian radar detection as they approached the rocky Omani-Iranian coastal zone. The temperature hovered near 95 degrees even at night, and the humid air made every movement feel heavier. Marines fast roped down onto strategic high ground, overlooking the narrowest section of the strait. Their boots hit the rocky terrain running. They immediately began digging fighting holes into the hard soil, setting up interlocking fields of fire, and positioning javelin teams to cover the vital shipping channel below. Moments later, waves of AH-64 Apaches swept in low and aggressive, their rotor blades cutting through the night air with a deep, menacing thump. The gunship's advanced target acquisition systems quickly located clusters of Iranian fast boats, attempting to harass distant tankers and several hidden missile sites dug into the coastal hills. The Apaches opened fire with devastating precision. Hellfire missiles streaked away from the pylons, slamming into armed patrol boats and turning them into bright orange fireballs that reflected off the dark water. The 30mm M230 chain guns rattled continuously, sending streams of high-explosive rounds into Iranian ground positions and silencing rocket launchers in bursts of flame and debris. From their newly secured positions on the peninsula, Marines pushed forward under the protective roar and flash of the Apache guns. They cleared small enemy observation posts hidden among the rocks, disabled mine-laying teams working near the water's edge, and destroyed several mobile coastal radar units that had been feeding targeting data to Iranian forces. Sweat soaked through uniforms as the Marines advanced across the difficult terrain, sharp rocky slopes, dry wadis, and thorny scrub that offered little concealment. When an Iranian coastal battery suddenly attempted to fire missiles toward a group of passing commercial ships, two Apaches dove in together from different angles. They unleashed coordinated Hellfire strikes that destroyed the launchers in seconds, sending massive plumes of smoke and fire rising into the pre-dawn sky. Apache pilots provided constant real-time targeting information to the ground teams while flying low-level attack runs with hydro rockets to suppress any remaining enemy fire. The Marines used this covering fire to advance further, methodically clearing pockets of resistance and securing a wider defensive corridor along the coastline. Marine engineers moved in behind the assault elements, conducting controlled underwater detonations that removed the remaining Iranian mines from the shallow channels, creating a safe passage for tankers. As the first light of dawn broke over the Gulf, the intensity of Iranian resistance had dropped sharply. The once active swarm boats had either been destroyed, sunk, or forced to retreat deep into their own territorial waters. The shipping lane, which had been nearly paralyzed only hours earlier, began to breathe again. The first escorted tankers cautiously increased speed and moved through the strait under the protection of marine ground positions and the constant overhead presence of Apache patrols. In the hours that followed, the Marines shifted focus to clearing and consolidation. Additional waves of CH-53 Super Stallions brought in more infantry, heavy weapons, engineering equipment, and supplies. Apache helicopters returned briefly to the USS Tripoli for rapid rearming and refueling. Weapons teams worked efficiently under the rising sun, hoisting fresh Hellfire missiles onto the pylons, reconnecting wiring harnesses, inserting new arming pins, and pumping JP-8 into the tanks before launching the gunships back into the fight within minutes. On the ground, the Marines strengthened their defensive lines, laid extensive concertina wire, emplaced portable radar units, and established multiple observation posts with overlapping fields of fire. They continued sweeping the coastline, eliminating the last scattered threats, and confirming multiple safe transit routes for commercial shipping. By mid-morning, the results were undeniable. Tankers from various nations began moving through the strait in steady lines without incident. The flow of oil slowly returned toward normal levels as international vessels regained confidence in the reopened waterway. The Marine Expeditionary Unit had successfully secured key coastal ground, while the AH-64 Apaches delivered the decisive air power that shattered Iranian resistance and broke the attempted blockade. Yet even in victory, the tension never fully lifted. Iranian forces still held positions further inland and retained the ability to launch new attacks or attempt to reseed mines at any moment. The Marines remained dug in on the peninsula, weapons hot and eyes scanning the horizon through the heat haze. Apache crews continued flying combat air patrols overhead, their sensors sweeping constantly for any signs of renewed threats. The entire joint force stayed fully alert, ready to respond instantly if the situation changed. The successful reopening of the Strait of Hormuz marked a significant operational victory for American and Allied forces in a highly complex littoral environment. The Marine Expeditionary Unit and their AH-64 Apache partners had demonstrated the effectiveness of integrated ground and air operations when vital sea lanes hang in the balance. Tankers were once again moving freely, and global energy markets began to stabilize, at least for the time being. This operation highlighted how quickly a forward-deployed Marine Expeditionary Unit, backed by attack helicopters, can turn the tide when critical maritime choke points come under threat. The strait was open once more, but everyone involved understood that peace in the Gulf remained fragile. The Marines and Apache pilots had done their part to restore freedom of navigation, yet they stayed coiled and prepared for whatever might come next under the vast Gulf sky. If you want to stay updated on how these high-stakes missions continue to shape events in the Strait of Hormuz and what the next developments might bring, hit subscribe right now, turn on notifications, and drop a comment below. Do you think Iran will attempt to close the strait again? Or has this operation permanently changed the balance of power in the region? The story is still unfolding.